Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you the story you're about to hear might just change the way you look at celebrity royalty forever? Because tonight, the glittering world of fame and fortune has turned into a living nightmare. King Harris, yes, the son of rap legend T.I. is lying in a hospital bed. And word on the street is, the doctors have officially given up. But hold on, that's not even the shocking part. The shocking part, it's what happened right after that. Whispers are saying T.I. collapsed in the hallway sobbing, screaming, and blaming himself for everything that led to this moment. But here's where things take a dark, twisted turn. Because sources close to the Harris family claim, this isn't just a medical emergency. No, this is the consequence of months of chaos, feuds, and dangerous choices spiraling out of control. And trust me, this story has everything: betrayal, fame, power, and a hidden truth that the family desperately wants to keep under wraps. So, before you scroll away thinking this is just another celebrity breakdown, ask yourself, what really happened inside that ICU room? Why did the doctors suddenly walk away? And why are people saying this could be the end of the Harris dynasty as we know it? Stay tuned, because once we start unpacking this, you'll realize not everything that shines in the spotlight is gold. Sometimes it's just pain dressed up in designer chains. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the internet's most unpredictable corner, where rumors grow legs, secrets sprout wings, and celebrity families can't even sneeze without somebody live streaming it. Tonight's headline: the Harris household has apparently turned into a real-life soap opera that even Netflix would reject for being too dramatic. So, here's what we know. And by know, I mean what our army of anonymous insiders, hallway eavesdroppers, and maybe real maybe not nurses have whispered through the grapevine. King Harris, the self-proclaimed Prince of Hustle, landed himself in the ICU after what's being described as a mysterious collapse. One minute he's posting on social media about being untouchable. The next minute he's hooked up to machines that beep louder than his last MIXTAPE. And when the doctors finally came out with the update everyone dreaded, the hallway fell silent. The statement was short, cold, and devastating: "We've done all we can." Translation: they're throwing in the towel. They've officially given up. Now, picture this: D.I., the man who built an empire off toughness, standing there frozen, trying to understand how his son is flashy, fearless mini-me ended up like this. Witnesses claim he staggered back, muttered "no, not my boy," and just collapsed against the wall. The nurse's station reportedly turned into a movie scene. Alarms blaring, people shouting, phones recording. Because of course nothing in 2025 happens without somebody pressing record. But this story isn't just about tragedy, it's about the build-up that nobody saw coming. See, King Harris has been on a downward spiral for months. The internet laughed when he argued with his parents on Instagram Live, called himself grown, and bragged about street credibility. People said, it's just teenage rebellion. But the truth is something much darker was brewing underneath that diamond-encrusted grin. Backstage sources claim that the Harris household has been split down the middle. Tiny tried to play peacemaker. T.I. tried to play tough love dad and king. He played both sides like a professional chaos dealer. One insider who claims to be a close friend of a cousin's girlfriend stylist says, the tension at home was like a ticking time bomb. Every argument turned into a shouting match. Every family dinner turned into an episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the uncut version. And then came the parties. Oh yes, the parties that allegedly turned the Harris mansion into a 24/7 circus. Champagne at noon, police at midnight. Neighbors complained about noise, random cars, and even the smell of trouble in the air. King wanted to prove he could live like a rock star, and he did, just without the stadiums, the security, or the survival instinct. Now, the million-dollar question: what really happened the night he landed in that ICU? The official story floating around the family circle says it was exhaustion. That's Hollywood code for we don't want to talk about it. But other whispers hinted something heavier: a combination of stress, lifestyle, and one decision that went terribly wrong. One anonymous doctor, let's call him Dr. Whistleblower, claims King's condition was far worse than anyone admitted publicly. We fought hard, he allegedly said, but his body just shut down when asked if it was reversible. The doctor sighed. Not unless a miracle walks through that door. Meanwhile, the internet detectives were already hard at work. Twitter threads exploded with conspiracy theories. Some said King was poisoned. Others said it was a setup. And one viral post even claimed it was the curse of celebrity kids who fled close to the spotlight. Dramatic? Absolutely. But tell that to the millions of fans refreshing their feeds, hoping for an update that never came. And what about T.I.? The man's reputation has always been bulletproof until now. Remember when he preached discipline and responsibility to the younger generation? Well, now critics are dragging him through digital mud. Where was that energy when your own son was spiraling? One commenter asked, You were too busy flexing success to notice the fall. Another added, brutal, but in the court of public opinion, sympathy fades fast when hashtags start trending. Then there's Tiny, the silent storm in the middle of all this chaos. Sources say she's barely eating, barely speaking, and spending her nights praying by King's bedside. In one leaked audio clip whose authenticity we obviously can't confirm, she can allegedly be heard whispering, "Please, baby, don't leave us like this." The clip has over 10 million views and counting. Because nothing fuels the internet like tragedy in HD. But here's where it gets even stranger. Just hours before the doctors gave up, a mysterious black SUV was seen pulling into the hospital's private entrance. 3 men in suits walked inside, escorted by security. No press, no explanation, no names. Some believe they were lawyers. Others say they were crisis managers. Either way, their timing was impeccable and suspicious. So what were they there to manage? A medical emergency or a family image emergency? Because let's be honest, this isn't just about health, it's about headlines. Every minute King stays in that ICU, the Harris brand takes a hit. Sponsors get nervous, shows get pulled, and fans start asking uncomfortable questions. The empire that T.I. built with hustle and talent could crumble overnight, not because of music or money, but because of perception. And perception is deadly in Hollywood. By midnight, hashtag Pray for King was trending, joined by hashtag T Heartbreak and, weirdly, hashtag Dr. Drama. Fans were posting candle emojis, while others were digging through old clips of King mocking his parents online. One tweet read, "This is karma in 4K, cold, but viral." Because the internet doesn't pause for empathy, it refreshes for engagement. Meanwhile, inside the hospital, tension was thick enough to cut with a diamond chain. Nurses whispered, security tightened, and T.I. reportedly refused to leave the room. "If he's going, I'm going with him." One insider quoted him saying, "The man who once rapped about standing tall now sat slumped in a plastic chair, staring at machines that didn't care about fame." And that's when the call came. A senior doctor entered, spoke softly, and said the words no parent should ever hear, "We've done all we can." T.I.'s head dropped. A sound left his chest that witnesses say didn't even sound human. Cameras were banned. But of course, someone recorded the aftermath anyway. The clip shows T.I. falling to his knees, clutching his head, and being helped up by security. Within minutes, it was everywhere. TikTok edits, Instagram reels, reaction videos titled T.I.'s heartbreaking moment racking up millions of views overnight. But while fans cried and critics dissected, something else was brewing in the shadows. A nurse speaking under strict anonymity claimed that King's chart had been edited multiple times in one night. "Someone didn't want the real cause getting out," she said. "I've never seen that kind of pressure from upstairs. Pressure, cover-ups, lawyers in suits. If this was just a family tragedy, why did it feel like a political thriller?" By sunrise, hospital security had tripled, reporters camped outside, and drones hovered above the roof trying to catch a glimpse. But inside those sterile white walls, the truth was being tightly guarded. The official statement was just 6 words long: King Harris remains in critical condition. No details, no updates, no explanations, and that's where things start to get really messy. Because while the public mourned, insiders began leaking bits and pieces that painted a completely different picture of what went down that night and who might actually be responsible for King's collapse. Now, this is where things take a turn from tragedy to mystery. Because according to a very reliable source, and by reliable, we mean someone who once sold snacks outside the hospital parking lot, something fishy was happening behind those closed ICU doors. Apparently, right before the doctors declared King's case hopeless, 2 men in suits had a heated exchange in the hallway. One of them was heard saying, "We can't let this go public." Let that sink in. If this was just a medical emergency, why the hush-hush energy? Why were hospital files being reviewed at 3 in the morning? And most importantly, why did King's private security suddenly vanish right before everything went down? See, a lot of people think the story is just about a father losing his son. But no, this goes much deeper. Some fans believe King wasn't just a victim of his lifestyle, he was a pawn in something much bigger. Something that ties back to T.I.'s own career, his past feuds, and maybe even some business deals that didn't go as planned. One so-called industry insider told the Rumor Room podcast, "T.I. made some enemies years ago. Powerful ones. The kind who don't forgive, of course." The show immediately milked that line for a 30-minute episode. Titled The Harris Family Curse, Coincidence or Karma, it blew up online, clocking 2 million views overnight, and as expected, fans went wild connecting the dots. Old beefs resurfaced. Clips of T.I. clashing with other rappers, labels, and producers started trending again. Comment sections turned into full-blown conspiracy forums. What if this was revenge? What if someone messed with King to send T.I. a message? What if this wasn't an accident at all? Meanwhile, inside the hospital, things were only getting stranger. Nurses reportedly had their phones confiscated. Visitors were searched. One janitor claimed he was told to avoid the ICU wing altogether. Another insider swore the hospital had been infiltrated by handlers. The word alone sounds straight out of a Netflix thriller. But this isn't fiction, well, not the way people online are spinning it. They believe someone's pulling strings, silencing anyone who might spill the real reason the doctors walked away from King's bed that night. And speaking of doctors, let's talk about the so-called miracle team that was brought in. These weren't your average hospital staff. According to leaked emails that may or may not exist, this team was handpicked by a private firm connected to one of T.I.'s former business partners. That's right, money was moving behind the scenes faster than a TMZ headline. An anonymous nurse claimed it wasn't about saving him anymore, it was about saving the family's image. She said the mood in the ICU changed overnight. Machines kept running, but the hope was gone. By the time the head surgeon gave the final update, it felt more like a press conference than a medical decision. And that's when the media storm hit. By morning, every major entertainment outlet had its own version of the story. One said King had suffered a mysterious cardiac event. Another claimed it was a stress-induced collapse. A third outlet, never one to miss the drama, went with, did fame kill T.I.'s son? Social media lost its mind. Memes, fan tributes, exclusive leaks. People who had never met King Harris were now writing long emotional essays about how fame destroys the soul. Hashtags like #Justice for King started trending because apparently, we're all detectives now. But amidst the chaos, one small piece of information slipped through the cracks, a leaked hospital log showing that King had been admitted hours earlier than the public was told. That means the family knew long before the news broke and tried to contain it. Why? Well, if you believe the whispers, it's because things inside the Harris family weren't as picture perfect as the Instagram posts made them look. Money troubles, legal headaches, a few questionable investments. It's rumored that T.I. had been trying to negotiate a major deal, one that required a squeaky clean image. King's collapse? Not exactly good PR. And then came the leaked audio, out of nowhere. An anonymous user posted a clip allegedly recorded in the ICU waiting area. You can hear two voices, one male, one female, arguing about signing papers and keeping this quiet. The female voice says, "He's not gone yet. We can't do this." The male snaps back, "It's already done. Just follow the plan." No proof it was real. No confirmation who they were. But the internet didn't care. Within hours, the clip went viral under the title T.I.'s family caught covering up King's condition. Meanwhile, the Harris camp stayed silent. No statements, no interviews, just a single post from T.I.'s account, a black screen with the words "Pray harder." The caption? "Sometimes, faith's all you got." But fans weren't buying it. They wanted answers. Comments flooded in. "Why so quiet, Tip? What are y'all hiding? This ain't adding up." The longer they stayed silent, the louder the speculation grew. Even other celebrities started chiming in. A few offered sympathy. Others threw shade, suggesting this was a result of bad parenting. One rapper went live saying, "Y'all glamorize chaos, then cry when it bites back." The clip blew up because nothing gets clicks like judgment disguised as wisdom. Meanwhile, anonymous hospital staff kept feeding the beast. One claimed King briefly regained consciousness. Another said he didn't. A third claimed the family paid off the first two to stay quiet. The internet was eating it up like a late-night buffet. Then came the turning point. The doctor leak, an alleged internal memo surfaced online, supposedly from one of the hospital administrators. It stated that the patient's vitals were compromised due to delayed treatment authorization. Translation: someone high up might have stalled life-saving decisions while waiting for permission. Permission from who, though? That's the million-dollar question, because if the memo's real, and that's a big if, then someone possibly tied to the Harris family's legal team was calling the shots before the doctors even touched the patient. Think about that. Doctors ready to act, waiting for a lawyer's green light. Once that rumor spread, the internet lost its collective mind. Fans demanded the hospital release footage, files, anything. Petitions were started. Independent investigations were called for. It was chaos. And just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, guess what leaked next? Security camera stills to grainy images showing what appears to be a man in a hoodie sneaking out the back exit, around 2 a.m. carrying what looks like a small medical bag. No one knows who he was. The hospital denies everything, but online sleuths were convinced that's the guy who switched the charts within minutes. The photos were all over Reddit, TikTok, and conspiracy forums. Some claimed he was a rogue doctor. Others said he was hired muscle. One wild theory even suggested it was T.I. himself, sneaking in disguise to see his son privately. Ridiculous. Sure, but that's how online legends are born. By the next morning, cable news had picked it up. Talking heads debated ethics, celebrity privilege, and whether fame should come with a first aid kit. Meanwhile, T.I.'s PR team finally broke the silence with a short, polished statement. The Harris family asked for privacy and continued prayers during this difficult time. Any rumors or speculations are not only false but deeply hurtful. Classic, clean, controlled, but also vague enough to fuel another week's worth of content. Because by now, the internet didn't want peace, it wanted proof. Proof that the doctors didn't just give up. Proof that King wasn't another casualty of fame's pressure cooker. Proof that this wasn't a cover-up wrapped in tragedy. But what no one realized was that behind all the drama, behind the headlines and hashtags, something far more devastating was unfolding in private. Because just as the world argued about conspiracies and cover-ups, someone inside that hospital decided to break the silence for real this time. And what they revealed would send shockwaves through the entire industry. The nurse who finally broke the silence didn't post on social media. She didn't call a journalist. She walked straight into the emergency stairwell, pulled out a prepaid phone, and sent one text to an unknown number. They're hiding something. That message hit the internet like a thunderclap. Within hours, screenshots began circulating through fan pages dedicated to Kane Harris, the once cocky heir of Taeyeon's rap empire. Forums lit up with theories. Was this the inside whistleblower everyone had been waiting for? Or just another internet prank feeding the chaos? But then came the files. A folder labeled H13 appeared on a file-sharing site, claiming to contain redacted hospital records. Dates, times, initials all blurred, but the descriptions matched Kane's case to perfectly to ignore. Unusual medication change, procedure delayed by authorization hold. Family liaison intervention at 2:07 a.m. The crowd went wild. Every reaction channel, gossip podcast, and self-proclaimed truth investigator dissected the files frame by frame. They circled timestamps like detectives in a crime thriller. One commentator even slowed the screenshots down in a YouTube video titled Proof. They let him flatline. It racked up 1 million views before breakfast. Meanwhile, Taeyeon was nowhere to be found for 3 straight days. No posts, no statements, just silence. Rumor had it he'd locked himself inside a private suite on the hospital's upper floor. Others swore he'd flown to an undisclosed retreat to get his head straight. But one thing was certain: the public was losing patience. By day 4, protesters were outside the hospital with handmade signs, "Tell US the truth." Drone footage showed candlelight vigils that looked more like flash mob documentaries. News vans lined the block. Even late-night hosts cracked jokes like, if fame were contagious, Kane caught the terminal strain. Cruel? Absolutely. But that's the entertainment economy. Tragedy sells better than music inside. Tension reached breaking point. Doctors whispered about legal pressure. Nurses traded shifts to avoid the ICU wing. The atmosphere was heavy with something worse than fear, guilt. That's when the lights flickered. Literally. At 11:58 p.m., the entire hospital wing lost power for 17 seconds. Security cameras rebooted, monitors blinked, and when everything came back online, Kane's vitals had changed. One nurse claimed his heart rate spiked. Another swore she saw movement within minutes. Word spread like wildfire: Kane's waking up. But before anyone could confirm it, a private security team swept through the corridor and cleared everyone out. Technical maintenance, they said. The doors locked. The cameras went dark again. By morning, the hospital released a one-line update. The patient remains in a stable, unresponsive condition. Stable, unresponsive. 2 words that meant absolutely nothing but managed to quiet the frenzy. Just enough for the real twist to unfold, because right after that statement, an exclusive anonymous email landed in multiple reporters' inboxes. Subject line: "You're asking the wrong question." The message claimed that Kane's collapse wasn't random. It was the result of a controlled environment experiment tied to an unreleased endorsement deal. Something about stress tests, extreme stamina, proving authenticity, wild stuff. Most journalists laughed it off until the attachments arrived: leaked photos, a dimly lit studio, a contract stamped with an entertainment company's logo. In the corner of one image, Kane half awake, half wired to monitors, smiling like he had no idea what he'd signed up for. That's when public sympathy flipped back to outrage. The narrative morphed overnight from tragic accident to corporate exploitation. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag justice for Kane. Hashtag industry expert. Hashtag they used him. Fans demanded investigations. Politicians tweeted we're looking into it, which of course meant they absolutely weren't, but it looked good online. And poor Taeyeon? He finally surfaced, barely recognizable, eye sunken, voice cracking as he addressed the press outside the hospital gates. "They told me my boy was safe," he said. They told me it was just publicity. Now they're telling me to move on. The clip shattered hearts. Even his critics went quiet for a moment. For the first time, the man who built his name on bravado looked completely defeated. Cameras flashed as he stepped away, muttering, "This ain't the legacy I wanted." But the story didn't end there, because hours later, a digital forensic group self-appointed, of course, claimed to trace the leaked experiment files back to a company partially owned by, guess who? One of Tay Ayan's old collaborators, the same producer he publicly feuded with 2 years prior. Cue the internet meltdown to point zero. People started digging through old diss tracks, searching for hidden messages. One line from a 2023 freestyle suddenly sounded prophetic. "They gon' test my blood for loyalty." Fans swore it was a clue. Podcast released 5-part series breaking down the prophecy. Conspiracy influencers uploaded our long videos connecting dots. That definitely shouldn't be connected. But amid all that noise, one fact remained. No one outside the hospital had actually seen Cain since the lights flickered. Every update was filtered, every image blurred. Then, one night, a security guard half asleep on his break caught something on his phone camera. Through a narrow window, he filmed a silhouette sitting upright on the hospital bed. The figure raised an arm, pointed toward the ceiling, then slumped back down. The guard uploaded it instantly. The clip hit 50 million views in 24 hours. Was it real? Maybe. Was it staged? Probably. But none of that mattered, because people believed again. They believed Cain might still pull through. They believed in redemption. And belief, as every content creator knows, is the most powerful currency online. So when the hospital announced a press conference the following week, the world tuned in like it was a Super Bowl. Flashes, reporters. The chief physician stepped up to the mic. You could hear camera shudders like machine gun fire after extensive treatment and observation. She began, "We can confirm the patient has been transferred to a private recovery facility. The family requests privacy," and just like that, no confirmation of improvement, no details. Nothing but an open-ended mystery. She walked off stage. Half the crowd gasped. The other half groaned. The internet exploded. Some said Cain had recovered and been hidden away to protect future projects. Others claimed he passed, and the statement was a cover to control the fallout. A few insisted the recovery facility didn't exist at all. Every version spawned new thumbnails, new theories, new money. And somewhere, far from the noise, Tay Ayan sat in silence, phone off, world muted, legacy burning on autopilot. He built his empire on lyrics about survival, and now he was watching his own son become a ghost in real time. The final image the world saw was a paparazzi shot. Tay Ayan walking down a deserted street at dawn. Hoodie up, rosary in hand, eyes fixed on the ground. The caption beneath it read, "When the spotlight fades, all that's left is a shadow." But for his fans, that shadow became legend. Theories kept morphing. Maybe Cain was planning a comeback. Maybe this was all marketing for a secret album called Resurrection. Nobody knows. Nobody ever will, because in a world where clicks are louder than truth, the line between tragedy and promotion disappeared long ago. So, what do you think really happened that night? Did the doctors truly give up, or were they told to? Was Cain a victim of his own fame, or a pawn in a game too dark for daylight? Drop your theories below, because you already know half of you are better detectives than the people getting paid for it. And if you think the story's over, think again. There are still unanswered questions, missing files, and a whole industry pretending not to notice the cracks forming in its perfect mirror. Maybe next time we'll talk about who profits when pain goes viral. Maybe we'll finally expose the hidden machine turning human tragedy into trending content. Until then, keep your eyes open, your feed refreshed, and your heart skeptical. Because in this world, the truth isn't breaking news, it's buried somewhere in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you're brave enough for what comes next.